There's some stuff going on was it late yesterday? Luke and I have often talked about like as each day passes, it's like, oh, there's a peace deal imminent. Oh, there's no peace deal imminent. And like Ukraine just struck 34% of Russia's strategic cruise missile carriers. I saw somebody ask this question on Twitter, and I'll throw it to Hannah Claire and then Luke. I think it was something like, hey, if somebody had destroyed 34% of the United States nuclear warhead carriers, what do you think the response would be? And it's like, yeah, this is a pretty big deal. How, how do you view this, Hannah Claire? This is kind of scary, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think the U.S. response would be pretty epic and intense, as far as I can imagine. I think the Ukraine-Russia war is weird. I mean, obviously, last week Trump was making some comments. You know, he was frustrated with Putin that things weren't going as well as he thought they had been. That they had positive conversations in the past, and Putin seemed to be changing his mind. But I don't really understand why this would be the time that Ukraine would become so aggressive. Now, of course, the end to the war seems to be just as far away as it ever was, despite some at one time promising peace talks. But I think Ukraine kind of knows that American support is about to run out after, multiple billions of dollars. And so in some ways they're taking crazy risks. I mean, the report that these were smuggled in on trucks is fascinating to me because it almost makes me wonder, like, could you have done this sooner? Is this something you were always capable of doing and you just held off until now? Because that would indicate to me frustration with the geopolitical negotiation. I don't know what your take is.
I just sent a tweet related to that with Trump's Truth Social post. I'm sorry. Do you want to continue or?
You can go.
Okay. No. This is a crazy situation. This was an operation in the works for 18 plus months.
Yeah.
You saw Trump kind of hinting at this and other kind of operations that are probably still at play here. The Ukrainians have been launching a lot of kind of covert intelligence agency, CIA influence type of operations, whether it comes to, killing top generals and YouTube
They just
journalists.
try to take out Putin.
Yeah,
like
top journal. Yeah, there's journalists that are being taken out in Russia.
Gonzalo Lira.
That's in Ukraine, but there's other
you mean in Russia? Yeah,
Russia aligned like war reporters that are propagandists kind of for the state there, that the Ukrainians build small statues of that have explosives, and they literally hand them the statues and they take them out that way. A top Russian general that was warning about the bioweapons in Ukraine was taken out with the scooter inside of Moscow. You saw Dugin's daughter blown up in.
They thought it was him, right? He was the target.
Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, I guess it could be sending a message either way.
Yeah, we saw the blowing up of the Nord Stream pipeline, which was approved by Zelensky, and then according to sources, he tried to call it off. We saw the blowing up of the Crimea bridge. We're seeing a lot of sabotage attacks here. This is on the eve of peace talks that are beginning now in Istanbul. This is no way to get peace. This is not a way to, of course, galvanize any kind of good moral framework for what clearly is something that I've been saying was going to be happening here. I told everyone as soon as Trump got elected, he's not going to end this overnight like he says he will. This is far more complicated.
I was more optimistic about the Israel Palestine one. This one seems as after this. I mean, could you imagine what Putin's going to have to strike back? He can't just go to peace talks now.
He can't look weak, and he can't go to Istanbul right now and be like, okay, guys, we surrender. Like, that's not going to happen.
Right.
That's going to mean the end of like the Russian Empire, which some people are calling for, which would create like the fall of Iraq here. But a lot of people in Ukraine, a lot of like pundits and military personnel and politicians are saying that this is Russia's Pearl Harbor. Well, if you say that, what happened after Pearl Harbor, after that sneak attack, right? The United States was mobilized and it launched military offenses. And then, of course, that country that launched the Pearl Harbor attack got nuked. Okay. So a lot of people are talking about the arsenic missiles. Yep. A lot of people are talking about nuclear weapons. which the Orsanik missiles could be attached to. Clearly, there's going to be a very strong Russian response here as the Ukrainians decided to continue the onslaught and launched missiles into Moscow last night as well. So, man, this is a crazy situation. And again, I was telling people this was going to happen. I was like, look, the peace negotiations aren't working. Expect major escalations. And that's exactly what we're seeing here because the Ukrainians are losing on the front lines. Now they're kind of implementing these kind of unorthodox forms of warfare. That's guerrilla intelligence, CIA, technocratic drone forms of warfare that are absolutely diabolical and very innovative and very smart. Let's be honest. This was a very
You know what?
the Ukrainians.
You know what? Do you think it was the Ukrainians, Luke?
No, it was the CIA intelligence.
Correct. Okay. I just
engineered and orchestrated all of this.
Yes, the Ukrainians did not do any of this. They did not pull this off. They used our weapons and our intelligence, and we let them press the button. Hannah Claire, is there any way?
No. We let them stand by us as we did it.
Right. Here, you stand over there. We're gonna do this. Hannah Claire, is there any way that if I know you're a big Putin fan, is there any way you as a huge Putin fan sees this as anything but like a NATO level attack? Like this is probably the most devastating attack from the Ukrainians. This is the biggest escalation yet. I would maybe not, but I would say it's got to be up there, you know?
It's pretty serious. I mean, I know you're teasing me about being a Putin fan, but in this case, what are people's options to be a fan of Putin or be a fan of Zelensky?
I know.
It doesn't seem like either side is really who you want to root for. And I think one of the challenges for me has always been that Putin was really clear that he was opposed to the expansion of NATO. And I remember the reports that he had a call with Joe Biden, our amazing negotiator, in which he said, like, I just want the promise that they won't be able to join NATO. And Biden was like, nope, can't do it. And since then, NATO has expanded dramatically. Like the thing that Russia didn't want has happened and occurred, along with financial punishment towards Russia and more aid going towards Ukraine. I think everything that could have escalated tensions there was done. And obviously, I think it was sort of intentional for nefarious governmental reasons. But ultimately, all of NATO is saying that they're behind Ukraine. So if Ukraine is saying, oh, well, we're going to do this crazy attack, either they did it.
Yeah.
Right. Either they did it with NATO support or they went rogue, but NATO still has to back Ukraine, as far as I understand from everything they've said.
Yeah.
It's not good.
This is on the heels of Lindsey Graham just being inside of Ukraine. I sent you the kind of response that a lot of people are having. I just sent it to you in the private chat. But I found it fascinating to see the kind of back and forth as the Ukrainian officials are coming out and saying, yeah, absolutely. We informed Donald Trump in the White House about this before doing it.
No, they didn't. Yeah.
And then the White House came out and said, no, we weren't informed about this at all.
Mm-hmm. Hannah Claire's, I'm going to put up that video, but to Hannah Claire's point too, this tweet says, never forget that Vladimir Putin was only asking to respect the Minsk agreement, don't expand NATO, and keep Ukraine neutral. That was what he originally was asking for. Does anybody refute that? Is that, I don't want to
That's what he asked for. And Joe Biden was like, no, I won't do it.
Yeah, I mean, this has been spun into, and here's Lindsey Graham saying, the ever-resourceful Ukraine used creative drone warfare tactics to successfully attack Russian bombers and military assets used to kill Ukrainian citizens and destroy their country. That's not true, actually. Russia, he's right back on the war train. Didn't he just get off it?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't he just have that based moment outside of the White House when we were like, finally, like, even Lindsey Graham is like, this has got to end. Now it's like, now we got to ensnare China into it too? What a mess.
Yeah. It has to keep going. I mean, that's the thing. I really feel like a lot of the people who see the benefits of this war are ready to let it go. They don't want it to end. And that's at the cost of the American taxpayer, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, Huck wants in.
Let him in.
No, this whole thing's tragic, and this whole thing signals, and again, I was saying this days and weeks before this. I was like, things are going to get wild. Things are going to get crazy. And I mean, what's going to be the response from the Russians with all of this? I mean, it's going to be a very vast, big response that's going to try to send another signal, another message to the Ukrainians is a lot of people. I don't know if you're seeing this as well, but I'm seeing on social media a lot of people are saying, Putin, take off the gloves. And Putin has shown some restraint before, and he does limit his military from certain actions not to commit inside of Ukraine. And a lot of people are saying, take the gloves off, do whatever you want. And I'm like, this is not good. I don't want him doing that either. I don't want him responding. I don't want him escalating. But this is this type of situation that I think is a lose-lose for everybody.
Bold statement. Not even bold. It's the statement that it's not even a hot take. Zelensky has to go.
Yeah. But they can't get rid of him because they suspended elections because it's a war. So as soon as the war's over, they have to confront whether or not he's a dictator.
Yeah. The only way this war ends is getting rid of Zelensky. Take that how you will. Like, there is no way in hell that Zelensky launching this attack was signaling he wanted peace. Like, are you kidding? This is the biggest escalation in the entire, I mean, other than maybe the initial invasions. Like, this is the biggest escalation in years. And we're supposed to be having peace talks. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, the peace talks begin today.
Right.
I don't think they're going to be fruitful. I don't think they're going to be very productive.
Sort of a rough start for peace talks.
Yeah, to say the least here. But I don't think there's any long-term consideration or thought from the Ukrainians about how this is all going to work out. Because if you're kind of, it does seem like it's short-term thinking. It's like, no, we're just going to, take out some of their nuclear capability. You can't take out all of their nuclear capabilities. And if you're Vladimir Putin, you're like, okay, this is an organized way to specifically hinder me from a world war type of scenario. So I should prepare for a world war type of scenario. As the UK and their prime minister announced today that they are on a war footing and they are going to be, of course, creating the war economy. I'll send you that clip because it's of the prime minister coming out and declaring this.
Keir Starmer or whatever?
Yeah. I just sent it in the private chat, which
I got it.
Is highlighting his recent statements today saying that they are moving towards war fighting readiness.
Let me share the audio here. I'm just not a fan of where this is heading, and I think it's a runaway train now. Yeah,
I think Trump needs to pull out of NATO because you see what Germany is doing. You see, I think that's the only kind of logical thing that needs to be done here. But Trump's been very weird when it comes to this type of situation.
He has threatened NATO before, and he's talked about the imbalance of, funding.
Following through,
NATO is America, really.
I want to set out 3 fundamental changes that we're going to deliver. First, we are moving to warfighting readiness.
There we go.
As the central purpose of our armed forces. When we are being directly threatened by states with advanced military forces, the most effective way to deter them is to be ready. And frankly, to show them that we're ready. To deliver peace through strength.
There's some conversations happening behind the scenes that are scarier than what we probably know.
Yeah.
There's a reason Ukraine preemptively struck their it's not like their nuclear stuff, but their Air Force or their, that could deliver these missiles, I guess, or whatever the case was. But there's a reason that happened last night, and it's scary because it's probably for a reason that the general public doesn't know, and that Putin is probably, strongly considering escalating himself.
Yeah. There's also, nuclear submarines, surface-to-air missile systems, underground systems, small nukes. So it's not just, an Air Force that was significantly hit. There's other resources there that the Russians have that are clearly being talked about being utilized right now.